We know that our database admins and our database experts are going to be taking a slow, stepwise approach to what they're doing with AI and how they're trusting AI. And our first approach is to make sure, for example, that what we're going to be releasing in again about 24 hours, human is in the loop at all times.
Welcome to It's About Data. Our guest for episode 53 is Miran Badzak of IBM. He'll be discussing the evolution of AI-powered autonomous databases.
So, Miran, good to have a chance to speak with you again. Um, the occasion of this is that IBM is doing a very major generational announcement on DB2, one of the most venerable database platforms brands out there. And so that's what we're hoping to speak with you about today. So, Miran, give us a little background in terms of where you're coming from, and then we'll dive into this.
Yeah, so Tony, first of all, great to see you again. Always a pleasure chatting with you. So thank you very much, Matt. Great to meet you as well.
Great to meet you.
So just very quick about me. I'm Miran Badzak. I'm director for our databases organization at IBM. I run the product management team. Yeah, as you mentioned, we've got a fairly large announcement around DB2. And Tony, as you mentioned, this is our flagship database from IBM. We've been to market with this product for many years now. It's been, if you look at the history, I think we started in 1993 with the distributed form, and then at 10 years before that was the mainframe. So 40 plus years of history, IP development, ingenuity that's gone into that database engine, and today it is used by some of the largest banks, financial institutions, insurance companies, governments, airlines, go you name it. And DB2 is part of the modern economy today. And so it is the customers that we're serving and the customers that we get the pleasure of working with every single day are just some of the most interesting enterprise, some of the most interesting companies on the planet. And we talk about this all the time. The fact that DB2 really is running the modern economy today. When you go to your grocery store, you slide your credit card. When you go to check your bank account, chances are all of that data is coming from a DB2 database someplace. So tremendous penetration really across our entire economy.
It's about data. And so tell us, tell us about the new announcement with DB2, which you're branding as I said, I've been a little confused in terms of the terminology because I've heard autonomous, I've heard AI edition, and I've heard Genius Hub. So take us into the basics of your new announcement, because this is actually a pretty, I would call this a generational release.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Tony. So here's what we've got. What we're developing or we're working on, and we're going to be releasing literally in 24 hours, GAing, is what we're calling the autonomous DB2 database. So this is powered by the latest innovations in agentic AI, and what we've done is we've created a swarm of AI agents that's responsible, ultimately working together to deliver an autonomous database experience for our customers, right? So you see a lot of companies today that are working on agents, AI agents that can do sort of single tasks that here and there, kind of measuring their progress in terms of number of agents that they're publishing, a number of agents that they're taking to market. We're not looking at it that way. We're looking at agents and AI and agentic AI in particular as a way to deliver a new experience for our customers. It's not about us delivering 10, 15 agents and claiming that we delivered this and that. It is really about transforming the way that our customers are using DB2 today, the way that our operators, DBAs, are operating DB2 fleets in a brand new way. And what we're seeing is, and what we see really is the opportunity to transform and leveraging AI and leveraging some of these latest advancements to really transform the way that our DBAs and our customers are operating their fleets. And so, Tony, you asked about, there's a couple of different names, brands, et cetera. So it's, autonomous, we're leveraging essentially as a descriptor on how our customers are going to be experiencing DB2 from here on out in an autonomous fashion. We've got in sort of an evolution. We're releasing the first major milestone of that today, tomorrow rather, which is calling level 1 automation. And then we're going to progress that as time goes on. the AI edition is how we're packaging all this up, right? So this is additions are typically referred to, product tiers, packaging, etc. So there's going to be new editions of DB2, which we're calling the AI editions, that our customers can purchase to get these capabilities. And under the covers, as part of those editions, is an offering called IBM Db2 Genius Hub, and this is where our AI lives. This is where our database operators, our admins, our folks that are operating fleets, this is where they live, and this is where our new AI and all those capabilities that are delivering that autonomous experience, that's where they live.
So let me ask this. So you've made the point, Miran, that DB2 is basically this very bulletproof database. Like, it runs the modern economy, it runs airlines, it runs all these systems that need to be hyper reliable. And I think agentic technology, everyone's excited about it, but there's also a lot of nervousness about like making sure that it behaves the way it's supposed to, and that it doesn't basically inject bad behavior into our systems and start doing things that, behaving in ways that are unreliable, where we could trust humans to manage a database, to be the DBAs. And we're starting to hand over some of those responsibilities. So how do you balance those considerations, like deploying this brand new exciting technology versus maintaining DB2 as this bulletproof brand where people don't have to worry about stuff breaking, basically?
Yeah. No, great question. There was actually an article that came out where this was it's part of the inspiration for all the guardrails that we put into the system. There was somebody that developed some AI that was looking at, scanning a bunch of databases, and somebody asked it to fix a particular problem with that database. And the way that the AI fixed that problem was it deleted the entire database.
Yes, exactly.
So that is one way for sure to resolve database issues.
Drop table, right? Like
Drop table, drop database, and off you go. So we are not doing that. Let me be clear. We are not doing that. But look, in all seriousness, it is something that we are definitely cognizant of. It's definitely something that we've built into the product to begin with.
Yeah.
We know that our database admins and our database experts are going to be taking a slow, stepwise approach to what they're doing with AI and how they're trusting AI. And our first approach is to make sure, for example, that what we're going to be releasing in again about 24 hours, human is in the loop at all times, right? So as our system, for example, if we're doing anomaly detection, it's one of the capabilities, right? Anomaly detection, sort of recovery or handling anomalies before they turn into a big problem. One of the things that we're immediately doing is we're letting the user know, we're letting the DBA know in this case that, hey, we found something that could be troublesome. We do a root cause analysis, so we kind of go through the entire process, all the evidence that we've gathered, all the telemetry data that we've looked at, all the logs that we've scanned, everything, and we present our findings, or the AI presents its findings to the DBA, and then it's up to the DBA, and the AI will tell the DBA exactly what needs to be done to fix that, for example, fix that problem or avert a potential issue. But it's the DBA then who's fully in charge, and and we're providing the key capability for them to go and fix the problem, right? And the idea is, as time goes on, as we gain the trust, as our AI starts to gain the trust of the human that's operating these fleets, right? They start to trust the system to be more and more autonomous as time goes on. So after a couple of times, a human DBA will realize, hey, this is actually doing exactly what I would have done in this case. That's great. Let me have the system sort of still prompt me, but I'll just let it execute those commands on my own. I don't need to be I don't need to go and mess with anything, mess with the SQL statements, etc. Just do it. And I think what we're really excited, and the point that we're trying to get to is to the point where our AI is asking the human, is going from, hey, I found this problem, to here is a resolution, to would you like me to resolve this for you, to the last step, which is, would you like me to resolve these kinds of issues or these kinds of problems or these kinds of situations autonomously from here on out? And that's the journey that we're on. That's the journey that we're trying to take our DBA, so they get to that point where we've done enough work and we've gained their trust, so that at the end they can say yes to that very last question. And once they say yes to that very last question, the system is on autopilot. and
Got it.
starts to slowly become fully on autopilot as again they gain more and more of our trust.
Right. That's a very
Hopefully
interesting
more and
journey
more
that
of their
you're
trust.
just. It's an interesting journey that you're describing, and there are a couple interesting things that we'll want to dive into. But one talking about looking at how the system kind of self-learns, which is basically how AI should work, which is kind of whether using like reinforcement learning. So we'll get into that. And the other part is also like what really is autonomous, but we'll get into that. But initially, what I want to get into is that you've laid out. I mean, this is not what you are delivering tomorrow is not going to be the full autonomous database. You've actually laid out, from what I'm hearing, is basically kind of like a 5-level progression which you will be releasing capability over about the next 18 months. So I was wondering if you can kind of go through those levels 1 through 5, what flesh this out, tell us what they are, and gauge our manage our expectations in terms of that. This will be coming out every few months, but tell us about those levels 1 through
Yeah,
5.
no, that's a great one. This is one where a visual would come in handy, but I'll try my best to paint the
Okay.
picture. But ultimately, it's about as we take a look at, and I think I mentioned level 1 earlier. It's actually level 2 that we're releasing. So if you take a look at the market today, take a look at what's out there today. Most of the tools that DBAs and admins and folks that are operating these fleets are relying on is dashboards. There's some automation scripts. There's a bit of ML machine learning in there and statistics gathering and so on. But for the most part, there hasn't been a ton of innovation in the space for a long, long time,
Mm-hmm.
as far as we can tell. And so that's the state of the market today. What we're going to be releasing is again what we're calling level 2 automation, which is our AI is able to go in, it's able to do a number of different things. It's able to do anomaly detection. It's able to do some of the basics around performance tuning, health checks, things like that. It's able to do what's changed analysis. So trying to figure out what changed in the last 24 hours, 48 hours, last 2 minutes that could have caused a problem. There's a ton of different capability that we're launching. But ultimately, with level 2, the human is still in charge. So we're arming the human with all the advice that he or she needs to make a determination as to what's going on. But ultimately, they've got to execute. Level 3 is where we're going to next, and we're hoping to deliver this, and we're planning to deliver this by June, which is we're calling level 3 automation, where the system, our AI, is able to take care of some things on your behalf, some activities on your behalf. So that's by June of this year. We're going to be making some announcements. I'm preempting things here a little bit. We're going to be making some announcements, I think, at our conference in May. I hope my marketing team will forgive me for that one. But by June of this year, our AI is going to be able to start handling some of these things for you. Again, humans still in the loop, but start to handling some of these things for you. And as we're progressing throughout the year, the idea is that we're more and more autonomous, more and more capabilities that we've added from a breadth and a depth perspective, to the point where next year we're hoping to get 95% reduction in managing a databases and the amount of time you have to spend on manual intervention, the amount of time you have to spend on tedious things like updates, patches, performance checks, all of those things that DBAs have to do. They are critical to the operation of a database. But let's face it, those are not differentiated activities for any company. So that's what we're trying to do, and that's sort of the 5 levels of automation that we've set out to. So level 1 is what everybody's got there today. Level 2 is what we're going to be delivering tomorrow, and then we're working towards all the other levels to get to about a 95% elimination of reduction in managing your fleets, reduction in time it takes to resolve certain situations, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. So as revolutionary as it sounds, I'm going to jump in here and make an assertion. I'd like to sort of challenge you on this, which that to me, actually, this is more evolutionary than revolutionary. And it's not at all to minimize what you're talking about here. But if we look at the history of database automation, going back, say, like 30 years into the early days of original distributed DB2, we were using rules, and this for the 1990s, as if there's anything wrong with that. That was the technology we had at the time. We had rules-based automation to do specific tasks, And then in the early 2000s, IBM basically made a big promotion with what it called autonomic computing. And in a way, I think you kind of very much raised expectations at that time, I think beyond what the market was ready for. Over about during the past 15 years, we've seen machine learning in the form of predictive and prescriptive come in. And then more recently, we've started to see language models that can help you help with higher level things such as deciphering schema and stuff like that. So I'd like to ask you here is that as I said, I see this as evolutionary. Do you folks see that as evolutionary, or do you see this as really being revolutionary?
I mean, we're seeing, Tony, we are seeing this as revolutionary, and especially when we're having conversations with customers, right? When we've been demoing to, I don't know how many customers at this point as sort of part of our pre-release efforts. And the level of insight and the level of capability that we're able to deliver to our customers is truly something new. One of the things that we're done, and one of the things that that we see as a clear differentiator between what we're delivering and what ChatGPT, Claude, and everybody else is able to deliver, is we've actually encoded into our agentic graph that we're coming to market with. What we've done is we encoded knowledge and specific knowledge from our Db2 SMEs, from our engineering labs, from our support organization, kind of encoded their collective knowledge into the product, right? So that we're able to deliver some really fantastic insights, much better responses than what ChatGPT, Gemini, and others. By the way, those are all great AI systems. I'm not trying to knock them, but this is specialized AI tuned for these specific kinds of use cases and situations. We've done blind tests, for example, where we've done a sort of prompt and response. We've had experts, Db2 experts, that have evaluated the response and did a blind test between what, for example, in this case, what ChatGPT is able to offer and what we're able to offer. And 75% of the time, those experts chose the response that we offered as opposed to someone else. And so there's a lot of just amazing capability that's been built into the system that is truly, number one, it's differentiating. And we think that this is going to be a game changer for how our admins are managing their fleets of databases.
Interesting. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. And we're actually going to have a follow-up conversation around some of the cultural issues to do with deploying AI into very traditional organizations. So thanks for taking the time, Miran, and we'll be talking again shortly.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Miran.
Thank you both. Good to see you.